As I fixed her armor, the alien queen leaned in close. "Don't be shy, human," she whispered. She had expected the cold, empty space of a cell and the slow, slow passing of time. But she had not expected to be brought before a queen. The Zalari prison ship was not like human ships. It was smooth and dark, shaped like a black leaf floating in space. It made no noise, as if it had learned to hide from sound itself. Mara had been captured during a scouting mission near the asteroid belt. Her team had been wiped out by a sudden attack, and she had barely escaped in a small shuttle. The Zalari ship had taken her without mercy. Now she stood in a wide chamber, surrounded by guards. The air smelled like metal and flowers. There were no chairs, no tables, no signs of comfort. Everything was clean and sharp. Everything was made to remind a person that they were not in control. A giant door opened silently. Mara's heart beat faster. A tall figure walked out, not a guard, not a soldier, someone else. The figure wore armor that looked alive. It was not only metal, it had curves like a living shell. It had patterns that moved like veins. It seemed to breathe even though it was still. The figure's face was hidden behind a helmet, but the helmet was shaped like a crown. Mara realized she was standing in front of the Zalari queen. The guards bowed without a sound. The queen stopped a few steps away from Mara. Mara looked up. The queen was taller than any human. She had a long body and her limbs were thin but strong. Her armor made her look even larger. Her presence was heavy like a storm waiting to arrive. Mara felt small, but the queen did not look angry. She did not look cruel. She looked tired. "Human," the queen said, her voice soft but clear. It sounded like a song sung in a dark room. "You are alive." Mara swallowed. "Yes." The queen tilted her head slightly. "You are a technician. You work with machines." Mara's mind raced. How did she know? Did they scan her? Did they read her mind? She tried to keep her face calm. "I repair equipment," Mara said. The queen took a slow step closer. The guards moved back, leaving space. Mara felt the air change. The queen's armor shimmered like water in sunlight. "You will repair mine," she said. Mara blinked. "Your armor?" The queen nodded. "It is broken. It was damaged in the last battle." Mara's eyes widened. She had seen the Zalari in battle videos. Their armor was famous across the galaxy. It was said to be the strongest. It was said to be almost impossible to break. If the queen's armor was broken, then the queen herself was in danger. Mara tried to speak, but her voice came out small. "Why me?" The queen's eyes moved, but Mara could not see them behind the helmet. Still, Mara felt the queen watching her carefully. "Because you are alive," the queen said, "and because you are a human." The queen's words made Mara feel strange, not threatened, not safe, just noticed. The guards stepped aside and opened a small door in the floor. It was a hatch that led down into a lower chamber. A ramp of light descended, glowing softly. Mara followed, her hands raised. She did not want to be punished. The lower chamber was different from the upper room. It was smaller, warmer, and filled with tools. There were machines that Mara had never seen before. They looked like living creatures with moving parts that flowed like muscles. A platform stood in the center. The platform was empty. The queen stepped onto the platform. She stood still, and the armor around her shifted. Mara realized the platform was a docking station. It connected to the armor. It could hold the queen in place while she was repaired. The queen turned slightly, showing Mara the damage. The armor was cracked on the chest. A deep line ran through the surface like a lightning strike. The crack glowed faintly as if energy was leaking out. The queen's breathing seemed slower. Mara's stomach tightened. She had seen broken armor before. It always meant the wearer had been hurt. It always meant the person had been weak for a moment. The queen had not looked weak. Mara stepped closer, her eyes scanning the armor. The crack was not only on the outside. It went deeper into the inner layers. It looked like it had been struck by something powerful. It looked like a knife had cut through metal and energy. Mara felt a strange mix of fear and curiosity. She had repaired human armor before. It was not easy, but it was simple compared to this. This armor was alive. Mara reached out slowly. The queen did not stop her. She did not move away. She simply stood still as if she trusted Mara. Mara's hand touched the armor. The surface was cold, but not like metal. It felt like stone that had been shaped by a river. It felt like something that had grown instead of being made. Mara found a small panel near the crack. It was hidden in the pattern of the armor. She pressed it. The panel opened. Inside was a bright core like a small star. It pulsed with light. It looked beautiful but dangerous. Mara's eyes widened. She had never seen such a power source. She knew one thing clearly: if she made a mistake, the armor could explode. The queen's voice was calm. "You may begin." Mara nodded, even though she was scared. She did not want to show fear. She took out her tools. She had only a small kit. It was the kit she carried in her backpack when she was a scout. It was not enough for this job, but she had no choice. She started with the outer crack. She used a thin tool to clean the edges. The armor was not only metal, it had layers of living fibers. She had to be careful not to tear them. The queen watched her with stillness. Mara worked for a long time. The room was silent except for the soft sound of her tools. Her hands moved quickly but carefully. She had learned to work under pressure. She had learned to keep calm when the world was falling apart. The queen did not speak. Mara felt the queen's presence like a weight behind her. It was not a threat. It was attention. Mara tried to think of something to say, but her mind felt blocked. She had no words for a queen. Finally, she asked, "Why did you come to fight them?" The queen's voice was quiet. "Because they attacked us." Mara nodded. "Who attacked you?" The queen did not answer immediately. She seemed to think. Then she said, "A group that believes the Zalari should not exist." Mara felt her stomach twist. She had heard stories about the Zalari. The humans called them monsters. The Zalari called humans weak. But Mara had never heard of a group that wanted to destroy them completely. Mara looked at the crack again. Was it a weapon? The queen's armor shivered slightly. It was a weapon that should not exist. Mara's eyes widened. She had a feeling she was hearing something dangerous. She returned to her work. She began to inspect the inner layers. She found a small device inside the crack. It looked like a thin needle hidden inside the armor. It was still warm. Mara realized the device was a poison. It was not a poison that killed quickly. It was a poison that slowly weakened the armor's power. It was a poison that made the armor fail at the worst moment. Mara's breath caught. If the armor failed in battle, the queen would die. If the queen died, the Zalari would fall into chaos. Mara's hands moved faster. She carefully removed the device. It was like pulling a thorn from a living tree. The queen did not move. She stood still as if she trusted Mara completely. Mara placed the device on a tray and began to examine it. It was not made from Zalari technology. It was human. Mara's mind raced. If the poison was human-made, then someone had attacked the Zalari using human weapons. But Mara knew humans did not have this kind of weapon. Not this kind of poison. Not this kind of armor damage. Mara realized something even worse. Someone had stolen human technology. Someone had used it against the Zalari. Mara's thoughts flashed to her own team. Had they been involved? Had they been used? She felt a cold wave of fear. The queen spoke softly. "You are thinking." Mara turned. "Yes." The queen's voice was gentle, but it held power. "You should not fear." Mara swallowed. "How can I not fear? I am a prisoner." The queen's armor shifted slightly. "You are not a prisoner, you are a tool." Mara felt a sharp pain in her chest. A tool. Mara had heard that word before. It meant a person who was used and thrown away. She hated the idea. She forced her voice to stay steady. "I am not just a tool." The queen paused. Mara felt the queen's eyes on her. Then the queen said, "You are more than a tool. You are a human." Mara did not know what to say. The queen had never spoken to her like this before. The queen had never sounded like she cared. Mara returned to the armor. She began to repair the inner layers. She used a thin thread of metal to stitch the living fibers back together. It was delicate work. The queen's breathing grew slower. Mara realized the queen was using her strength to remain calm. Mara finished the repair. She placed her tools down. The armor looked whole again. The crack was gone. The energy inside the core pulsed steadily. Mara felt relief. She looked at the queen. The queen stepped forward. The platform opened. The queen stood up fully. Mara expected the queen to leave, to return to the upper chamber, to leave her alone, but the queen did not move away. Instead, she leaned down slightly, lowering her head. Mara felt the queen's face come closer. She could not see the queen's eyes, but she felt them. The queen's voice was close to Mara's ear. "Do not be shy, human," she whispered. Mara's heart beat faster. The queen's words were not a threat. They were a challenge. Mara felt the weight of the moment. She was not just repairing armor. She was standing before a queen. She was being noticed. She was being tested. Mara looked up at the queen. She tried to stand tall. She said, "I am not shy." The queen's armor shimmered. The queen nodded slowly. "Good," she said. "Then you will be useful." Mara felt a strange mix of fear and pride. She had no idea what would happen next. But she knew one thing clearly: her life had changed forever, and the queen's whisper was not the end. It was only the beginning. After Mara repaired the armor, the chamber felt quieter. Not because the noise stopped, but because the weight of the moment remained. The Queen's whisper had not left Mara's mind. The words kept repeating like a song, "Don't be shy, human." Mara stood still, unsure of what to do next. The Queen moved slowly toward the exit. The guards followed. Mara expected them to lead her back to a cell. Instead, they stopped and waited. The Queen looked back. "You will come with me," she said. Mara's stomach dropped. "Where?" The Queen did not answer right away. She walked through the corridor with a calm pace, as if she had all the time in the universe. Mara followed, careful not to make any sudden moves. The corridor was long. It was lined with strange plants that glowed softly. The light from the plants made the walls look like the surface of water. Mara had never seen anything like it. The Zalari ship was like a living creature. Even the halls looked alive. Mara wondered how many other humans were on this ship. She wondered what they were doing. She wondered why she was being treated differently. Finally, they reached a large door. The Queen placed her hand on a panel beside it. The door opened with a sound like a soft breath. Inside was a room full of maps and holograms. It looked like a war room. There were models of planets, ships, and strange symbols that Mara could not understand. In the center of the room stood a large table. The table held a hologram of a world that looked like a green-blue marble. It was surrounded by lines of light. The Queen stepped to the table and placed her hand on the hologram. The lines moved, showing paths and routes. Mara realized the hologram was a map of the galaxy. The Queen spoke without turning. "This is our home." Mara looked at the map. "But you said your home is dying." The Queen's voice was quiet. "Yes." She turned to face Mara. Mara could now see the Queen's eyes through the helmet's small openings. They were not human eyes. They were deeper, like the eyes of a sea creature. They were full of pain and strength. The Queen said, "Our world is losing its energy." Mara nodded slowly. "What caused it?" The Queen's face did not change. "Many things: time, war, the use of too much power, the greed of the few." Mara felt her chest tighten. She had heard this story before. Many worlds had fallen because they used too much power. The Queen continued, "We have searched for a new energy source. We have looked at many worlds." Mara's eyes widened. "Earth," the Queen nodded. "Earth is strong. Earth has many resources. Earth has a special energy source." Mara's heart beat faster. "You mean the human energy core?" The Queen's eyes sharpened. "Yes, your world's power is clean and strong. It is different from ours." Mara felt a chill. She had not expected the Queen to know about human technology. Humans had kept their power source secret for years. "How do you know?" Mara asked. The Queen's voice became softer. "Because someone showed us." Mara stared. "Who?" The Queen's eyes looked away for a moment. "A traitor." Mara's mind raced. A traitor inside the Zalari. A person who had betrayed their own people. Mara had repaired the Queen's armor. She had seen the poisoned device inside. The device was human-made. If a traitor had used human technology to attack the Queen, then someone had stolen human tech. Mara's hands began to shake. The Queen watched her carefully. "You are thinking about the weapon," the Queen said. Mara forced her voice to stay steady. "Yes, I saw it." The Queen nodded. "It was meant to kill me slowly." Mara swallowed. "Why?" The Queen's voice was heavy. "Because the traitor wants me gone." Mara looked at the Queen. "Who is the traitor?" The Queen did not answer right away. She walked to the side of the table and touched a small symbol. A new hologram appeared. It showed a group of Zalari, all wearing armor like the Queen's. They looked powerful. The Queen pointed to one of them. "That is General Ral," she said. "He is the leader of our war fleet." Mara's eyes narrowed. "He attacked you." The Queen shook her head. "No, he wants to take my place." Mara's heart sank. "He wants to become queen." The Queen nodded. "Yes, he believes the Zalari should rule the galaxy. He believes our world should be the strongest." Mara looked at the hologram. She saw the general's face. He looked proud. He looked cruel. Mara felt a sudden anger. She had seen humans like that. She had seen people who wanted power more than peace. The Queen continued, "He believes humans are weak. He believes we should use humans as slaves." Mara felt a cold wave of fear. The Queen's voice became softer. "He believes you are useful." Mara's eyes widened. "Useful how?" The Queen stepped closer, her voice lowered. "As a tool." Mara's heart pounded. She remembered the Queen's words in the repair room. "You are a tool." Mara's hands clenched. "You said I am more than a tool." The Queen nodded. "Yes, because you are not afraid to speak." Mara looked away. "What do you want from me?" The Queen's eyes met Mara's again. I want you to help me stop General Ral. Mara felt a sharp feeling in her chest. She had never wanted to help an alien queen. She had never wanted to be involved in a war that was not hers. But she also knew something else. If General Ral succeeded, he would not only harm the queen. He would harm the whole galaxy. He would take the Zalari fleet and use it to attack other worlds. Humans would be next. Mara swallowed. How can I help? The queen looked at the map again. You can help by using your mind. Mara frowned. My mind? The queen nodded. Your people are clever. Your technology is different. You think in ways we do not. Mara's mind flashed back to her life on Earth. She remembered being told that humans were weak. She remembered the jokes, the fear, the name-calling, but she also remembered the times humans surprised everyone. The times humans found a new way to survive. Mara realized something. The queen needed a new way. Mara said, "What do you want me to do?" The queen's voice was steady. "We must find the traitor's plan. We must know where he will strike next." Mara nodded slowly. "And you want me to find it?" The queen smiled slightly. It was the first time Mara saw a smile from the queen. "You are not shy," the queen said again. "You are brave." Mara felt her face grow warm. "I'm not brave, I'm just tired of being controlled." The queen's eyes softened. "Then you will understand me." Mara looked at the queen. She felt a strange connection. She did not know why. Maybe it was because the queen was not cruel. Maybe it was because the queen was also tired of being controlled. Mara thought of the poison device. She thought of the human technology used against the queen. She said, "The device was human-made." The queen nodded. "Yes." Mara's voice grew sharp. "So someone from Earth is involved." The queen's eyes darkened. "It is possible." Mara's heart pounded. She felt a sudden fear. If humans were involved, then her world was not safe. She realized the danger was bigger than she thought. The queen placed her hand on the table. The hologram changed again. This time it showed Earth. Mara's breath caught. She stared at the image of her home world. It looked small but beautiful. The blue oceans, the green land, the white clouds. It looked peaceful. The queen spoke softly. "Your world is in danger." Mara's eyes narrowed. "Why?" The queen's voice was quiet. "Because General Ral believes your world is weak. He believes your world can be taken easily." Mara's mind raced. "He wants to attack Earth," the queen nodded. "Yes." Mara felt her stomach drop. She had never thought of Earth as weak. Humans had survived wars, disasters, and hunger. Humans had survived the worst. But the Zalari fleet was powerful. It could destroy planets. Mara's hands trembled. "We are not ready." The queen's eyes looked sad. "No, you are not." Mara stared at the hologram of Earth. She felt a strange anger. She felt a sudden need to protect her home. She thought of her family, her friends, her city. The simple life she had before the Zalari took her. She did not want to lose it. Mara looked up at the queen. "What do we do?" The queen's voice was firm. "We prepare." Mara nodded. "But how?" The queen looked at her. "We must find allies. We must gather information. We must stop General Ral before he can start the attack." Mara felt a heavy truth. She was not only a prisoner now, she was part of a plan that could save her world. Mara took a deep breath. She felt the fear, but she also felt something else. Hope. The queen's voice softened. "You will not be alone." Mara looked at the queen. "Who will help me?" The queen pointed to a small door in the room. Mara watched as a group of Zalari entered. They were not soldiers, they were not guards, they looked like scientists, engineers, people who worked with machines and knowledge. One of them stepped forward. He was not as tall as the queen, but he had a strong presence. His eyes were sharp, and his body was covered in small tools and devices. He looked like a person who had spent his life building things. He bowed to the queen. Then he looked at Mara. "You are the human," he said in a calm voice. Mara nodded. He smiled slightly. "I am Lyro. I will assist you." Mara felt a small relief. She was not alone. Lyro looked at the queen. "Your Majesty, we have information about the traitor." The queen nodded. "Show me." Lyro placed his hand on the table. The hologram changed again. It showed a ship. It was not a Zalari ship. It looked like a small transport craft. Mara watched carefully. The ship moved through space. It traveled between worlds. It stopped near a dark planet. Lyro spoke. "This ship belongs to the traitor. It carries stolen technology. It travels to a hidden base." The queen's eyes narrowed. "Where is the base?" Lyro hesitated. "We do not know." Mara's heart sank. If they did not know where the base was, they could not stop the traitor. Mara thought quickly. "Then we need to find it." The queen's voice was firm. "Yes." Mara looked at the queen. She felt the weight of the mission. She had never wanted to be a hero, but she had no choice. Myra whispered to herself, I will not let them take my world. The queen's eyes softened. Good. Myra looked at the hologram again. The map of the galaxy glowed. The queen said, we will begin now. Myra took a deep breath. She did not know what would happen next. But she knew one thing. Her life had become part of something much bigger, and the truth behind the crown was only beginning to show itself. The Zalari Palace was not a building. It was a living structure. Its walls moved like skin. Its lights changed like mood. Its air felt warm and cold at the same time. It was not a place where humans could feel safe. But Myra had learned to stay calm. She had learned to think fast. She had learned to survive. The queen had placed her trust in Myra, and that trust was not small. It was heavy. It was dangerous. Now Myra stood inside the palace's main hall, surrounded by Zalari nobles. The room was full of shining armor, bright robes, and serious faces. The nobles watched Myra like she was a strange animal. Myra felt the eyes on her. She tried not to look scared. The queen stood at the front wearing her repaired armor. She looked strong. She looked powerful. But Myra could see the strain behind her eyes. The queen had been hurt. The queen had been betrayed. And the queen was still fighting. The queen spoke to the nobles. General Ral will attend the ceremony, she said. He will declare his plan for our future. The nobles murmured. Myra felt a cold chill. She had not expected a public ceremony. She had not expected the traitor to come in person. The queen continued, he will speak about our enemies, he will speak about our strength, he will speak about the future. Myra watched the queen closely. She could feel the queen's fear, not for herself, for her people. Myra whispered to Lyro, this is dangerous. Lyro nodded. Yes, but we must listen. Myra's heart pounded. She knew the queen was trying to control the situation. She knew the queen was trying to stop the traitor without causing chaos. But she also knew something else. General Ral would not come alone. He would come with soldiers. He would come with power. He would come with a plan. The ceremony began. The hall's lights dimmed. A soft sound filled the room like a song sung by 1,000 voices. The nobles stood still. The queen stood tall. Myra felt the air change. The doors opened. A group of soldiers entered. They wore armor that looked similar to the queen's, but darker. Their faces were hidden behind helmets. Their steps were heavy. At the front of the group walked General Ral. He was tall. He was proud. His armor was bright and clean without any scratches. He looked like someone who believed he could not be harmed. His eyes met the queen's. Myra saw the hatred in his gaze. The queen did not move. She only stood still. General Ral spoke. Your Majesty, he said. I bring a message. The queen answered, speak. General Ral smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was a smile of power. We must remove the weak, he said. We must remove the old. We must remove those who do not support our future. Myra felt her stomach twist. She knew what he meant. He wanted the queen gone. He wanted the throne. He wanted to control the Zalari. The nobles looked nervous. Some of them looked afraid. Some of them looked excited. They wanted power too. The queen spoke calmly. You speak like a traitor. General Ral's smile grew. I speak like a leader. Myra's heart pounded. She looked at Lyro. Lyro whispered, he is testing the queen. Myra nodded. She knew the queen had to act carefully. The queen could not attack now. The queen could not cause a fight in front of everyone. The queen spoke. You want my throne? General Ral nodded. Yes. The queen's voice was quiet. Then you will need proof. General Ral laughed. I have proof. He raised his hand. A soldier behind him opened a small device. It projected a hologram. The hologram showed a human city. Myra stared. It was Earth. Myra felt her heart stop. The hologram showed the city being attacked. Buildings collapsing, smoke rising, people running. Myra's eyes widened. She felt a sudden fear. The hologram was not real. It was a fake scene. But the message was clear. General Ral was showing Earth's weakness. He was showing that humans could be defeated. He was showing the nobles that the Zalari could conquer Earth. Myra felt anger rise in her chest. General Ral spoke. The human world is weak. If we strike now, we can take their power. We can take their energy. We can save our world. The nobles murmured. The queen's face did not change. But Myra saw the pain behind the calm. The queen had hoped to find a peaceful solution. The queen had hoped to make an alliance with Earth. But General Ral was turning the Zalari toward war. Myra knew what she had to do. She could not let General Ral win. She could not let him attack Earth. She looked at the queen. The queen whispered, stay calm. Myra nodded. Then she saw the soldier behind General Ral. The soldier was holding a small device. It looked like the poisoned device that had damaged the queen's armor. Myra's eyes widened. The soldier moved slowly. He lifted the device. Mara realized the truth. General Ral was not only trying to take the throne, he was trying to kill the queen. He was going to use the same poison again. Mara's heart pounded. She had to act fast, but she also had to act quietly. If she moved too quickly, the soldiers would attack her. If she spoke too loudly, the nobles would panic. Mara's mind raced. She remembered the queen's armor. She remembered the hidden defense system Mara had repaired. The armor had a secret function. It could release a powerful energy shield. Mara realized she could use it. She had to make the queen activate the shield without causing panic. Mara took a small step forward. The nobles turned to look at her. Mara's voice was steady. "Your Majesty." The queen looked at Mara. Mara spoke louder. "The device is a poison." General Ral's eyes narrowed. "Who are you?" Mara continued. "The device is human-made. It can damage the armor. It can weaken the queen." The nobles looked shocked. General Ral's face changed. He looked angry. He stepped forward. "How do you know this?" Mara's heart pounded. She knew she had to act now. She pointed at the soldier. "He is holding the device." The soldier lifted the device higher. Mara shouted, "Now!" The queen's armor glowed. A bright shield appeared around the queen like a bubble of light. The shield pushed the soldier backward. The soldier fell to the ground. The nobles gasped. General Ral's face turned red with anger. He drew his weapon. The queen's shield expanded. The queen's voice rang out. "General Ral, you will stop now." General Ral shouted, "No, the weak must fall." The queen stepped forward. The shield protected her. But the hall was full of soldiers. They moved toward the queen. Mara felt the fear rise again. She looked at the queen. The queen's eyes met hers. Mara saw the queen's trust. The queen trusted Mara. Mara felt her heart fill with courage. She raised her hand. She used her tools to activate a small device she had hidden in her pocket. It was a human-made device. It was a small signal jammer. She pointed it at the soldiers. The device sent a pulse. The soldiers' armor lights flickered. The soldiers stopped moving. The nobles stared. General Ral's face twisted with anger. He shouted, "What is this?" The queen spoke calmly. "Human technology." Mara stepped forward. "Your Majesty, we can end this now." General Ral raised his weapon. Mara felt the queen's armor hum. The queen moved her hand. A bright light shot from the armor and struck the floor. The floor cracked. The hall shook. The nobles screamed. The soldiers fell back. General Ral stumbled. Mara's heart raced. The queen's voice was strong. "This is your last warning, General Ral." General Ral's eyes burned. He looked at the queen, then he looked at Mara. He smiled. "You think you can stop me?" he said. Mara felt fear, but she did not move. She stood still. The queen spoke softly. "No, but we can stop you together." General Ral raised his weapon again. Mara saw the soldier with the device stand up. The soldier moved quickly. He ran toward Mara. Mara's heart pounded. She knew he wanted to use the poison again. She knew she had to stop him. Mara moved. She ran forward. The soldier reached her. Mara grabbed his arm. The soldier tried to pull away. Mara held on tight. She used her strength. She pushed the soldier away. The soldier fell. Mara grabbed the device. She threw it into the air. The device exploded in a small burst of light. The explosion did not hurt anyone. But it made a loud sound. The nobles gasped. General Ral looked furious. The queen's armor glowed brighter. The queen spoke. "You are defeated, General Ral." General Ral laughed. "You think this is the end?" He pointed his weapon at the queen. The weapon fired. The beam hit the queen's shield. The shield held, but the queen's armor shook. Mara felt a sudden fear. The queen was not strong enough to hold the shield forever. Mara had to do something. She looked at the queen. The queen's eyes met hers. Mara saw the queen's fear. The queen was ready to sacrifice herself. Mara stepped forward. She shouted, "Your Majesty, listen to me." The queen paused. Mara spoke quickly. "Your armor has a hidden system. It can release a stronger shield, but it will need energy." The queen's eyes widened. Mara continued, "I can help you, but I need to connect to the armor." The queen nodded. Mara ran toward the queen. She reached the armor. She touched the surface. The armor responded. Mara felt a surge of energy. She felt the armor's power. She connected her tools. She pushed the system to its limit. The shield grew brighter. The beam from General Ral's weapon hit the shield. The shield held. The beam broke. The hall went silent. General Ral stared. He stepped back. He looked at the queen. He looked at Mara. He realized he had lost. He bowed his head slightly. He turned and walked away. The soldiers followed. The nobles stared in silence. The queen's shield faded. The queen stood tall. She looked at Mara. She spoke softly. "You saved me." Mara's chest felt heavy. She nodded. I did, she said. The Queen's eyes softened. You have a human spark. Mara felt a strange warmth. She had never been praised by a queen before. She had never been called brave. She had never been trusted. But she knew something. The war was not over. General Ral was still alive. He would return. He would try again, but for now the queen had survived, and Mara had proven that humans were not weak. They were strong. They were clever, and they were not afraid to fight for what they loved. The Zalari palace was quiet after the ceremony. The nobles had returned to their rooms. The soldiers had left. The halls felt empty, but the air still carried the tension of what had happened. Mara stood in the queen's private chamber. She looked at the repaired armor resting on a stand. It looked like a piece of art. It looked like a weapon. It looked like a symbol of power. Mara felt a strange mix of pride and fear. She had helped the queen. She had helped save the Zalari people from a dangerous leader, but she also knew the truth. General Ral was still alive. He would not stop. He would not give up. He would find another way. The queen stood beside Mara. She looked tired. She looked like she had aged in a single day. Mara, the queen said softly, you did well. Mara looked at the queen. Thank you. The queen's eyes were serious. But our war is not over, Mara nodded. I know. The queen walked to a window. The window showed the galaxy. Stars moved slowly like shining dots. Ships traveled in the distance. The universe felt huge and cold. The queen spoke quietly. General Ral has support. Some nobles believe in his plan. Mara's stomach tightened. He will try again. The queen nodded. Yes, he will try to gain more power. He will try to attack Earth. Mara felt her heart race. She had thought the queen would try to stop the war peacefully. She had hoped the queen would make an alliance with Earth, but the queen was not sure. The queen turned to Mara. I need to speak with Earth's leaders. Mara blinked. How? They will not believe you. The queen's eyes were firm. Then we will show them proof. Mara looked at the queen. What proof? The queen lifted a small device. It was the same kind of device that had been used to show Earth City during the ceremony. This device contains a message, the queen said. A message from me. Mara's heart skipped. A message. The queen nodded. Yes, a message that will show my intentions, a message that will show that I do not want war. Mara felt a small hope. Maybe the queen could truly save her world without destroying Earth. Mara asked, what will you say? The queen's voice was quiet. I will say that humans are not enemies. I will say that we must work together. Mara nodded slowly. But how will you send the message? The queen smiled slightly. We have a ship. Mara looked surprised. A ship, the queen nodded. A ship that can travel to Earth. A ship that can carry me. Mara felt her heart race. The queen was going to Earth. Mara felt a sudden fear. The queen could be attacked on the way. The queen could be killed. The queen could be captured. But the queen's eyes were steady. She had made her decision. She turned to Mara. You will come with me. Mara stared. Me. The queen nodded. You are the reason I survived. You are the reason I have hope. You have human knowledge. You can speak to your people. Mara felt a rush of emotion. She had never imagined she would travel to Earth with an alien queen. She had never imagined she would be part of something so big. Mara nodded. I will go. The queen's eyes softened. Good. Lyro entered the room. He bowed to the queen. Your Majesty, the ship is ready. The queen nodded. Thank you. Lyro looked at Mara. You will be safe. Mara nodded, but she did not feel safe. She felt nervous. She felt excited. She felt like she was about to change the future. The next day, the queen's ship left the Zalari palace. It moved through space like a bright comet. The ship was not large, but it was strong. It had a sleek design. It looked like a living creature. Mara stood beside the queen in the ship's control room. The queen's armor rested in a secure area. The queen was not wearing it. She was wearing a simple robe. Mara looked at the queen. Why aren't you wearing your armor? The queen smiled. Because I am not here to fight. Mara nodded. The ship moved faster. Stars blurred. Mara stared at the galaxy. She thought of Earth. She thought of her home. She thought of the people who had never believed in her. She thought of the queen. She wondered if Earth would accept her. She wondered if Earth would accept the Zalari. The ship entered Earth's solar system. Mara's heart pounded. She had never seen Earth from space. She had never seen the blue planet from above. She had only seen it in photos. Now she saw it with her own eyes. It was beautiful. It looked like a fragile gem floating in darkness. The queen looked at it too. Her eyes were full of wonder. Mara felt a strange connection. She realized the queen was not only fighting for her people. She was also fighting for the beauty of the galaxy. The ship entered Earth's orbit. The ship sent a signal. Earth's defense systems detected it. Alarms rang in control rooms. Humans prepared for an attack. Mara felt fear rise again. She saw the fear in the eyes of the Earth's defense team. She knew they would shoot first. She knew they would not listen. The Queen's voice was calm. "Do not fear, they will listen." Mara frowned. "How can you be sure?" The Queen looked at her. "Because we have proof." The ship sent a message to Earth's leaders. It was a message from the Queen. It was a message of peace. It was a message that showed the Queen's face, her voice, her words. Mara watched the screen. The Queen spoke slowly and clearly. "People of Earth," she said, "I am Sirla, the Queen of the Zalari. I come not as a conqueror, but as a partner. I come to ask for peace." Mara felt her eyes grow wet. The Queen continued, "My world is dying. We need a new source of energy. But we do not want to take it by force. We want to work with you." Myra watched the Earth's leaders on the screen. They looked shocked. They looked unsure. They looked afraid. The Queen spoke again. "A traitor in my court wants to start a war. He wants to take your world. He wants to take your energy. He wants to use your people as tools." Mara felt anger rise. The Queen continued, "I ask you to believe me. I ask you to give me a chance. I ask you to talk with me." Mara watched the leaders. She saw one of them step forward. He spoke into the microphone. "Queen Sirla, why should we trust you?" The Queen's eyes were steady. "Because I have proof." The Queen raised her hand. A hologram appeared. It showed General Raoul's ship. It showed his plans. It showed the stolen technology. It showed the poisoned devices. The leaders gasped. Mara felt hope. The Queen continued, "We can stop him together. We can stop war. We can save both our worlds." Mara watched the leaders. They looked at each other. They whispered. Then one of them spoke. "We will meet you." Mara's heart jumped. The Queen smiled. She looked at Mara. "We did it." Mara felt a warm feeling. But she also knew the danger was not gone. General Raoul was still out there. He would not give up. He would not stop. But for now, the Queen had made a choice. She had chosen peace. She had chosen to trust humans. Myra looked at the Queen. She felt proud. She felt small. She felt powerful. The Queen spoke softly. "You have shown me the true power of humanity," Myra nodded. "And you have shown me the true power of trust." The Queen's eyes softened. "Then we will work together." Myra looked out at Earth. She saw the lights of the cities. She saw the tiny movements of life. She realized something. Humans were not weak. Humans were not simple. Humans were not tools. Humans were strong. Humans were brave. Humans were capable of hope, and the galaxy was about to learn that the human race was not to be underestimated. Myra smiled. She knew the future would be hard. She knew the war was not over, but she also knew something else. The future was not only about war. The future was about choice, and humans had chosen to stand together.